Very happy to be here. Thank you so much for showing up today to listen to us talk. We've got a fantastic morning on the student marketing track, so thank you again. As you'll no doubt have learnt from YMS so far, the youth market is vast and ever evolving. We may be biased, but we believe that students sit at the heart of it, and today's young people play a unique role in all of our futures. The ecosystem is complex, and within that complexity, it's not all fun, sadly. It can be incredibly daunting for a new student. They're leaving behind 18 years of friends, family, social infrastructure, quite often going to a brand new location where they don't know anyone, having to build a new social support group completely from scratch. Quite often, their number one fear when going to university. In fact, the number one reason why students drop out in their first term is they just don't find that new community. They feel homesick. Campus experiences and content are key to supporting that student community, with over 54% of students wanting more content on campuses so they can connect with their peers. By investing in students, by bringing those experiences direct to them, you're not only supporting that student community, but by being a part of meaningful experiences during a key life stage, that loyalty that they show is completely unparalleled. The classic example I always use when I talk to people about this is I bank with NatWest, the business banks with NatWest. Why? They got me as a student, they had an incentive right for me, they reached out to me, and I'm probably going to be with them for life. It's been a year since we were here at YMS. The student demographic, by nature, refreshes every single year. We're constantly kept on our toes in terms of different ways to engage them, different ways to reach out. And it's interesting, our research has uncovered some key changes since 2023, since we were here a year ago hosting this stage. First off, students are spending more time on campus. Last year, students said they spent an average of 16.3 hours on campus per week, and this year it's up to 19, and that's constantly rising. Our first session today is going to be digging a bit deeper into this and how you guys can take advantage of that. Perhaps in tandem with the above, more students have moved onto campus and out of a family home. In fact, the number of students living with parents has decreased by 48%. It's another huge step away from the pandemic that shaped this generation and a leap into independence for this cohort. And finally, on buying and shopping motivations, 2024 students are still more concerned about affordability than anything else. But a craving for convenience is rising. It's what we're seeing from the data. After taking a dip in 2023, ethics and values are also firmly back on the list of motivating factors in student shopping choices. I'm sure we'll hear more about that today in our second session from UCAS. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm excited to welcome Katie Burr, the Head of Marketing at Native, who'll be sharing tips for navigating the nuances of student culture and overcoming the historical roadblocks that are on campus marketing. Thank you all so much.
So thank you, Nick, for the introduction, and hello, everybody. It's really, really great to be here today. So my name is Katie, and first off, there are a couple of things that you should know about me. So first of all, I'm the Head of Marketing at Native, but secondly, I'm also a huge Formula One fan. So before I begin by showing you a little bit about my world, can I ask for a show of hands? Do we have any other F1 fans in the room today? Amazing. Great to see so many of you here, and you are in for a treat. So you might be thinking, where is this going? But I really wanted to start by immersing you into something, an experience, a journey, if you will.
Can Perez squeeze past? They're going wheel to wheel towards Vale now. Who's going to be last on the brakes? Leclerc has that inside line. Perez goes off the track, cuts the chicane. Off goes Leclerc. Through goes Hamilton. Unbelievable stuff coming out of the final corner. Perez and Leclerc going for it. Hamilton says thank you very much. Another thing opens up for him.
So some of you that raise your hands might remember that, but here we have the lap that saw Lewis Hamilton race from 4th to 1st in the 2022 Silverstone Grand Prix. He may have gone on to finish in 3rd, but we won't dwell on that too much right now. And it's fine if that means nothing to you, but whether you're F1 mad or whether you've never heard of F1 before, take a moment to really contemplate what it would be like to be in the driver's seat in that moment. Suddenly accelerating into the lead with the landscape and the spectators rushing you by, everything happening in a matter of seconds. And stay with me here, because I believe that being at university is a bit like a Grand Prix. It's hectic, it's challenging, exhilarating, and it's full of twists and turns. You move through multiple laps, and then it's over before you know it. These are some sentiments from my university experience that I remember, as might you, whether you went in 94, 2004, maybe 2014, or even heading there this year in 2024. And over time, there have been many things that have stayed the same, but one of the main differences to note now in 2024 is that there are more students on campus than ever before. So as you can see here, the number of students attending university in recent times has absolutely ballooned. So much so that students really aren't a subsection of the youth market anymore. They are a thriving 2.86 million strong demographic in their own right. And out of the current UK students, around 2 million are Gen Z, the digitally native, ethically conscious demographic that you've been hearing about over the past day or so. And of course, not every student is the same, but the characteristics that make them unique are their financial independence, their openness to new brands and experiences, their values-led approach to life, and of course, their really bright futures. Because, like it or not, these students still go on to earn 10K a year more than their non-university educated peers. And it's these young people that are transforming campus culture from the inside whilst they figure out what impact they want to have on life in the future. And here at Native, we specialize in connecting brands and organizations with this ever-growing demographic. We've spent the past few years building a new ecosystem, one that really removes the barriers to the student market. This means, as an advertiser, you can build and scale activity that meets Gen Z students exactly where they are, as we uniquely offer brands this one access point to activate across multiple channels, both online and on campus. And I'm sure you'll agree, as marketers in the room, that this is particularly powerful because it can be very difficult to connect with Gen Z, with young people through traditional means. So without further ado, today I'm going to focus in on one of the ways that our brand partners are successfully engaging this demographic, which is immersive experiences. So there are moments throughout the marketing calendar that we and students know all too well. Think Black Friday, the festive season, summer break. But students have their own specific moments and milestones to consider, from moments like freshers to varsity, summer break to exams and graduation. They really do run to a different rhythm. Not only are their worlds enriched by the same moments and experiences that we do experience also, but they've also got a jam-packed schedule as determined by uni life. In fact, at Native, we recently plotted 251 moments throughout the year that are relevant to students and also brands. So like Hamilton in the first clip I showed, students are driving along, eyes on the road, focused on their worlds. There's academics, of course, and socializing, but future career development has never been more important. Balance the internships with the networking, the extracurriculars, and of course the need to make money, because half of students now have a part-time job. There really is very little time for much else. So your challenge as a brand is to cut through the noise and reach students both where and when it matters throughout the academic year and beyond. So what is an immersive experience? So there are so many ways that we could define this. You might initially think of donning a VR headset, maybe entering a house of fun at the fairground, or perhaps even just attending the theatre for an overload of music, lights, action. But a quick Google brought up words like absorption, multisensory, and captivating environment. So as an advertiser, when it comes to creating an immersive experience, there are no rules. And based on these definitions, what is university if not the ultimate immersive experience? So students too are absorbed and immersed in their life, an environment that's very much real, as we have on the top. They're treated to a multi-sensory experience and have experiences and interactions that will spark feelings and speak to their emotions. So uni is the original immersive experience, and the data backs it up too. And I'm going to hold my hands up here because I'm a bit of a data geek myself, and luckily that runs through our culture at Native. We stay close to the student market, We conduct both qual and quant research and even analyze the media and campaigns that students are loving over time. And this has meant recently we've brought all of our findings together and launched them into our student life report, which is available at the end of this session and also over on our stand. And the report tells us lots of things, but a couple that I'm going to take you through today are that, firstly, students are immersed because they live in the uni sphere. This year, the number of students flying the nest, as Nick just alluded to, has increased, with 67% either living in a rental with friends or in halls. Students' senses are stimulated because they're frequently on campus. And after a really rough 5 years, we're seeing a resurgence in students being on campus, which translates to a huge 3 hours more per week. And there's a lot you can do with 3 hours, from an intense study session, lunch in the quad, or what I'll be doing, which is probably dinner and drinks with friends. And then finally, unsurprisingly, students are feeling a heady mix of emotions upon arriving at uni. The top two that we see are excited and anxious, but motivation and, of course, feelings of being overwhelmed are also in the mix. After all, students are experiencing a brand new chapter in their life. So, more students are physically inside the ultimate immersive experience, which is university. With all of the excitement and open-mindedness that brings, they'll be on the lookout for more ways to get involved with new activities and new experiences. And with a whole campus, both physical and digital, at your fingertips, you're well placed to create your immersive experience right where students are the most excited. So now we're going to zoom into the starting grid of university, freshers, to get a sense of how things go. So freshers symbolises the start of a new academic year. It's right around the corner, kick-starting in August for Scottish students, and in September for the rest of the UK. And as you can see, freshers is a time where getting out and about is really key. Gen Z students in particular love in-person brand experiences. 62% will attend a freshers fair and 60% will visit other on-campus spaces. And 81% of these students who visit a freshers fair will leave with purchase intent. So that means that half of Gen Z that are starting university this year will leave freshers fairs with a shopping list of the brands they've just met. So freshers is the perfect place to begin your student marketing journey. And now I'm going to show you how one of our brand partners, the Lady Garden Foundation, did just that with an immersive experience. So you've got to use a bit of an imagination here. So picture this. You're at a freshers fair, and you're surrounded by students getting to know each other. Returning students are also there, making their way around familiar territory. But at this point, you've not found your friendships. You've not figured out the hobbies and the interests that will shape you as an adult. And you're completely without brand loyalties. You're, of course, juggling tote bags filled with free water bottles, flyers, pens, pads, free food and drink samples, and a rugby ball might whiz past your head as you look to the quad and see a cheer performance. Then you suddenly find yourself in the unexpected, a girls' bathroom. It's a place where lifelong friendships are made, where young people are empowered and taboos flushed away. And through Native, last year, the Lady Garden Foundation brought this exact concept to 13 universities across the country. Students quite literally stumbled into their bathroom, a safe space at the heart of freshers' fairs. And it was through this that they achieved their mission of delivering that all-important, life-saving lessons to students about women's health. It was through this really creatively executed campaign that the Lady Garden Foundation reached thousands of students across 13 universities, the universities where the uptake of cervical screening was at its lowest. They saw a 20 times increase in web traffic, and they exceeded their distribution target by 31%. But why did it work so well? I mean, there were a few simple visual tools that they used that transported students into another world, one where they felt really safe and receptive to that important health information. Their activation was an immersive experience. It was inside an immersive experience, a freshers' fair, inside the ultimate immersive experience of the university. I guess a Russian doll of immersive experiences, if you like. and a really great way to get students when they were most receptive. After all, during Freshers, 63% of students spend more or equal time on campus, and that 81% leave with purchase intent. But I guess after everything you heard yesterday, you might be thinking, aren't Gen Z students digital natives? Why this in-person stuff? Well, yes, they are digital natives, but they're also digital multitaskers. So our research has shown that 83% of students use multiple screens at once, with students owning on average of 4 devices each. Within this time, students are doing everything from the essential uni work to winding down after a long day of studying with a game or a series. There are ample opportunities to connect with Gen Z students digitally, but they're constantly switching modes and devices. Couple that with ad avoidance being common, and you're in a difficult spot. So we've seen that 60% of students use ad blockers, 80% are muting ads in between TV shows, and 77% are picking websites that don't have ads where possible. When the odd ad does make it through, well, 97% of students are skipping these too. So this really tells us that students don't love the idea of brands interjecting into their downtime, or worse, their study time. So you have to work extra hard to win their trust. And this really does mean going straight to the heart of the student experience. So we know that Gen Z students switch seamlessly between digital and physical spaces, and the best immersive experiences do the same too. In particular, though, think about the channels they trust, they frequent, and that they'll give their whole attention to, like the channels that surround a student's union. With both digital and physical placements here, you have all of the resources to create the ultimate immersive activation. Not only does this bypass the ad blockers, but it taps into the channels that students seek out for information, for advice, and for trusted directions. So by meeting them in this environment, where they're seeking guidance, education, and direction, you as a brand stand a much better chance of cutting through and resonating. And just to give you a sense of what some of these channels and placements are, this is how student activity looks through Freshers. So Freshers is that first marketing opportunity in the student calendar. And as you can see, at this point in time, there's an even spread across both online and IRL. So 55% of students can be found in on-campus spaces, and 55% also at their Freshers Fair. On the digital side, 45% visit their students' union's website, and that was 45%. And 43% follow their students' union on social media. It's where that trust really begins. And as we mentioned earlier, those in-person experiences are even more key for the Gen Z cohort of students compared to their slightly older counterparts. So there are plenty of opportunities to connect with students, but as with any marketing campaign, the best approach is to combine multiple of these. So students aren't just open to these brand experiences at university, they actually expect them. These experiences too become formative in who they become and where they go next. But to be that perfect pit stop, your brand has to ask itself, what am I to students? And so what we've done here is lean into 4 of our brand partners to showcase what this might look like for you too. So first off, university is exciting, but it's also a time when many students feel out of place. As we said earlier, while 49% report feeling excited, there are also 42% that feel anxious and 34% that are overwhelmed. So in this time, they really need something to anchor them. Like Burger King, are you that brand that students have grown up with? A home comfort that will really help them to feel more settled and on track as part of uni life. Uni is also famously a time where values are shaped, and students discover who they are and what they stand for. So over the years, we've helped bring a lot of charities and not-for-profits onto campus, just like the Lady Garden example. And many of these become key to students' ethics and values. So does your brand or organisation have a role to play in helping students to establish their identity? We also know that university is a time where students establish their financial independence, graduating out of the family home and into a life with their own bank account, purchasing power, and also a sense of style. They'll be purchasing for the first time across verticals that they might never have shopped in before. One of these might be lounge underwear. Are you a new option that will become their regular go-to? And above all else, university is exciting. Students are new to this, and as a brand, you might well be too. Are you new to the market? Are you launching a new product? Or perhaps you're new to campus. So for C4, the on-screen example, all three of those statements were true. Are you quite simply something they've never seen before? A new and exciting pit stop in their journey to adulthood? So hopefully this showcases just how important brands can be to students as they navigate university. But what exactly does shopping look like in these early days? How do students build up their brand loyalties and make new brand discoveries? So here we've taken some student perspectives directly from our student community. We recently asked them to reflect on freshers, how it was, what they remember, what they bought, and whether those brands remain consistent in their lives today. And I have for you now a quick snapshot around mostly what they bought.
Yeah, what did I buy? I do remember going shopping because the first thing I remember buying it was my film camera from a vintage shop, and I still use it to this day. So it has been a prized possession for me since I came to uni. We have a Lucy and Yak shop, and I bought a pair of dungarees on my first week of being here. Some nice little corduroy ones.
Okay, so because at the time I don't have clothes, so I went to buy clothes from the Primark. I went to buy quilts, duvet covers, pillows, and then groceries. So the groceries is a big thing. And the good thing with the Strathclyde was that they provide us with a presentation, and they have already told us that as an international students where you can get good cheap groceries. So I went to Lidl and Aldi to buy my groceries. So that was the initial things which I bought.
I explored and I went to a Waitrose in the end, even though that's quite expensive, but it actually had the things I wanted. And I did that for a while, and I once actually stole a shopping trolley, which I used to actually get all my food from A to B, because it did have quite a lot. So I used to do bulk buying because I didn't have time to constantly go walking to the shops. Is about half an hour away. And then I settled finally on doing food delivery. So I think I settled on the end for Sainsbury's because it had selection and quality, and it was £1 for delivery, which is really good. And I thought, you know what, we'll do that. It's much less stress.
So as you've just seen, students have really great recollections of brands, as well as people that they met on campus in their early university days. They entered that experience open and receptive to brands like many of yours, and 81% came away ready to buy from these brands. But I guess, how do you stand out from the crowd and make your campaigns work harder? Well, I've got a couple of practical tips to take you through. So first off, remember that Russian doll effect. If you create an immersive brand experience that sits at the heart of a significant moment, be that freshers or varsity, which in turn sits at the heart of the university experience, you are guaranteed to shoot straight to the long-term memories of these students. Secondly, don't afraid to be playful and lean into taboos instead of away from them. Gen Z students are ethically motivated, but you really don't have to be afraid to have fun with your immersive experience. Lounge Underwear's Bebop activation was the perfect example of this, and if you want to know more about that, come and find us on Stand 17. Thirdly, know your role in students' minds and really play into it. For instance, if it is your first time on campus, or perhaps you're a fairly new brand, why don't you go all out, throw yourself and students a welcome party to launch yourself at the top of mind. But remember, emotions should come first before you activate. And finally, don't neglect digital. So it goes without saying that we're a strong partner in the digital space, but today we've just chosen to zoom into something different that we offer, which is immersive experiences. In spite of everything we've said about cutting through the noise, the best immersive experiences have an IRL center point that is amplified through digital. And actually, a recent study by Analytic Partners of over 3,000 campaigns really quantified the value of these multi-channel marketing campaigns nicely. They found that integrated campaigns that ran across 5 channels resulted in an over 35% increase in ROI, which is a great one for the business case. And just before I go, I wanted to remind you of who you've been hearing from today. At Native, our goal is to help organisations like yours to reach students, propelling you to the heart of campus culture. We do this by partnering with students' unions, who are the trusted cornerstones of student culture. Our aim is really unique. We want everybody to get the best out of the student market. So by working with us, students get to experience great brand experiences that are really tailored to their needs and wants. Students' unions receive more revenue from advertising that they then reinvest back into the student experience. And advertisers can cut through to one of the most exciting but hard to reach demographics around. And we call this the Native win-win-win. So that's a wrap, but just a couple of pointers from me before I leave you. So you'll find the Native team over on stand 17, where we've created an immersive, sporty extravaganza in line with the summer of sports that we're about to embark upon. So if you've not had a go to score a student slam dunk, I'd really recommend coming over because it's lots of fun. And we'd love to see you there. So myself and also Nick after this track will be available to answer any questions that you might have about this session or anything else. And most of the insights that we've covered today come from our latest Student Life report. So the QR code on the left will give you that download, but we do also have some physical copies on stand. And we really have barely scratched the surface of what's inside, so do check that one out. And of course, we'd love to get your brand onto campus. If you're already at that stage, we can work with you to create the ultimate student campaign. So QR code on the right is the one for you there. And that's all from me. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and see you over on stand 17.